Meet quality guru Perry Johnson. He's a rock-solid conservative like you and me. Perry loves statistics, motivation, quality,
perfection.
When your car door closes just right, thank Perry Johnson. When you even have a job in the American auto industry, thank Perry Johnson. American automobiles weren't always the gold standard. Perry Johnson literally wrote the book introducing ISO 9000 quality standards to the American automobile industry. Perry for president?
Can you really think of a profession more desperately in need of quality than government?
Perry says that by cutting just 2% of discretionary federal spending each year, the size of our bloated budget will soon be balanced. Watch Perry Johnson's behind-the-scenes television show every Sunday night on Newsmax. Perry Johnson is the candidate for president who can solve America's debt crisis.
I'm Perry Johnson, and I approve this message.
Hello, I'm Perry Johnson, and I'm entering the most exciting time in my entire life. I am running for President of the United States, and you're going to be running with me.
Michigan businessman Perry Johnson is running for president with a plan to save the economy. It's called 2 Cents to Save America. He's also airing a reality TV show giving voters an inside look into his campaign.
We are the greatest country that ever lived, and let's keep it that
way. You cannot come in, and the police are going to be showing up in a little bit.
Oh, the police are showing up?
I'm here at the Oakland County Lincoln Day dinner. In fact, I have a sponsorship, and I sponsored to be here with my bus.
Okay, here's our first guys. Hello.
Hey, what can I do for you?
Oh, we're just here as a sponsor.
Who's on board?
We got Parker, one of our staffers, on board with a couple of guys that are here from the campaign.
Well, we're going to have to pull you off to the side. You can't go through until I get permission to allow you through.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
You can't come in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they just sent me here. They said we sponsored the event. They sent a check.
I've been told that you cannot come in, and the police are going to be showing up in a little bit.
Oh, the police are showing up?
Make sure that
All right.
you leave.
Okay.
Find
Well,
a place across the street.
Okay.
Nobody stop you.
All right. Have a great day.
Trump doesn't want me here. They won't let us in. I can't believe it. Could he really be scared? Who knows? Hey! Thanks for coming. Oh, my pleasure. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, the star's here. The party starts.
Fantastic.
How are
Thanks,
you?
Kelly. Excellent.
Welcome to a part of Iowa that you do not know about.
That is true.
And I'm going to confess something to you. This is what I like. Property, green, open space.
Actually, in our home, we live in the midst of a woods.
That's right. Same.
Well, this is nice.
This is a big turnout, and there's about 40 people here that you've never met.
Love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
We've got a fire pit over here that Kelly wants you to light. She's got it ready for you to go.
That's it.
Put your hands together for U.S. presidential candidate Perry Johnson. Well, thank you. And thank you so much for coming.
Now, when I'm elected president, there were 3 things that will happen, actually 4 things now that will happen right away. And I know this is very radical, but I am going to revamp the Department of Justice and get rid of the FBI. When you have a department that has such a cancer that can't be changed, you have no choice. You must literally eliminate it. It has to be expunged.
Would you be able to talk to us a little bit about your plan to get rid of the FBI and what that would look like?
Of course. The reason I said that we had to revamp the Department of Justice is that we obviously have serious flaws going on, and it's an uneven arrangement. It seems that whenever it's a Democrat, they don't want to do much, and whenever it's a Republican, they want to act on a whim. With the FBI, it's much worse. We have a cancer that is so severe. We have to understand that the FBI truly knew that there was no Russian collusion. They knew this for 2 years, and yet they perpetrated a falsehood on purpose. On top of that, they knew about the Hunter Biden and the affair all along, and they would not release the fact that they did have that computer and they did have the information. And it amazes me. Here we have a situation with the FBI where they decide that they are going to go and arrest President Trump because he had classified documents. Now, the thing that's most amazing about this is that the president had the right to declassify these documents at any time. All he has to do is say they're declassified, and it's a non-event. And he has total jurisdiction over that domain. So when you take a look at what goes on, Hillary can destroy evidence, and it's okay. She had to give emails, she was subpoenaed to give those emails, and she broke the law, destroyed the evidence, and they knew, and nothing happened. She was never arrested, she was never indicted. But now with the FBI, we seem to have a situation where it has to change. But we have a way of solving that problem. We have marshals, we have DEA, we have, let's face it, the ATF. So the ATF, the DEA, the marshals, and we have certain people from the FBI that I'm sure can be incorporated in this group. Now, to know the exact details of what needs to be done, obviously, we have to take a look at emails, we have to see what's going on, and it's just like when I go into any company and I make changes, I need to have some of that information in detail. And the bottom line in this whole thing is that until I get that information, I can't have a detailed plan, but I can have a general idea of what we need to do. I know one thing, when you have a cancer that is so severe that it's reached the 4th stage, you have to take it out. And that's what happened with the FBI. And right now, it just can't be countenanced. We have to take action, and we can't have a country where people do not believe in the values of the country or think the country is corrupt by its very nature and foundation. And that's what's happened because of the FBI. And let's change it. Well, the RNC is demanding that I get 40,000 donors. Now, obviously, this is a little ridiculous because I am self-financing. Washington does not want me on that stage because I am the last person in the world they would ever want up there in Washington. After all, my goal is to cut spending, and they like their fiefdoms. Now, I'm not beholden to anyone. I don't owe anyone favors. I'm just a guy that wants to get up there and make this country what it should be and continue to be the greatest country in the world. But we need my 2-cent plan. And my 2-cent plan is going to freeze the budgets in Washington and cut 2 cents out of every discretionary dollar. But in order for me to get that 2-cent plan up there, I need to get on the stage. If you donate $1, I will send you a copy of my book, 2 Cents to Save America. And I'd really appreciate it because I sure want to be on that stage. I'm Perry Johnson, and I approve this message. Instead of spending every penny in the budget every year, and they go out of their way to make sure every penny is spent, we're going to do just the opposite. We're going to freeze the budget and then cut 2 cents out of every dollar of discretionary spending. My whole plan is on the economy. I just think we're going broke. We're spending too much money. Heck, we are broke. We're $32 trillion in debt.
Really? Yeah, it's true, yeah.
I mean, this is absurd. And then we're going to add another 1.3 trillion? We just set a record for the amount spent in history. In 6 years, we've spent more money than any country in the history of the world. We've gone more in debt than any country in the history of the world in the last 6 years, period. And in the last 23 years, we have gone from literally, what is it, 6 trillion in debt, 6.5, to 32 trillion in debt. It's absurd.
That's absurd. No, I'm glad you're talking about it.
It's like I spent my whole life bringing quality and efficiency to companies. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 80 companies. We do business in 61 countries around the world. I've never had a company go bankrupt. None of my companies have any debt. I have no personal debt. I mean, I want the government to start running the government the way it should instead of just throwing your money away. And it's your money, it's not their money.
No, I hope you get on the debate stage, you know that?
I do too, that's the goal to everything. I will get the 40,000 donors. Happy 4th.
We're holding up the whole parade.
Hey, Barry, Time Driver. I saw you in Hollis. I'm actually the town chair here. And I read your book that you signed for me. I read the whole book.
So, and my theme is always on the economy, right?
Definitely, yeah, and the national debt, which is a disaster at the moment. And I like your point about it's about making people productive. It's not about printing more money.
He would be able to straighten out the budget in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And then nobody cares about that $80 trillion debt we have.
It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. They don't care about it. They just want to keep spending and printing money.
Best shirts on the campaign trail.
I'm a Republican.
Oh, wonderful! You're going to get that monster out of the public eye, I hope.
That is the plan.
You're running against them.
I am.
Well, good luck to you.
Happy 4th. How we doing? Give you a book. Here. Thanks. You got it. To freeze the budget and cut 2 cents out of every dollar of discretionary spending. And we are going to close the border. Let's finish that wall. And let's keep America free. Period. 40,000 donors.
40,000. That's what you need, right?
I'll hit it.
Will you?
I will.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
I see the ads all the time. So.
Did you get a book?
I didn't get a book.
Would you like a book?
I would love a book.
It's yours.
Thanks. Thank you.
You got a donor.
I got a book.
Obviously, when you're running for president, you have to keep up with the news, and my team thought it'd be a good idea to look at what's going on right now, and they want my reaction to what's going on to the various things. And we're going to start with Ray Dalio.
By some Wall Street estimates, the Treasury Department is set to issue $1.3 trillion of debt for the remainder of this year. And that's causing all sorts of concerns about market disruptions, including our next guest, who has said that we could face a potential debt crisis.
The largest amount of debt offerings and monetization of debt.
There's some concerns about liquidity issues and whether that's going to come out of bank reserves, but you're thinking much bigger about what we're facing as a country in debt.
The economics of a country are no different than the economics of an individual or a company, in that you can't spend more than you earn. Can't spend more than you earn without getting into debt. And if you have debt, you have to pay back the debt. The only difference is you can print the money. That's it.
Which we do.
Which we do.
We'll have a real serious problem if we get to the point where people do not want to buy our bonds. Then we have to offer even more interest in order to get people to give us the money we need to fund. Now, obviously, we can just print money, but every time we do that, we devalue money. And you get to the point where there isn't confidence in the US dollar. We are going to increase our debt by $1.3 trillion this year. We think it's bad at $32 trillion. Well, if it gets to $33 trillion, it's going to be even worse. And keep in mind, we have to spend money for every dollar we borrow. And that interest payment right now amounts to about $610 per month per family in the United States, just because the government is spending too much of your money. I have my oldest son with me. He entered college this year. I have two 14-year-olds that are entering high school, and we are destroying their future because we are spending so much money. And I say we stop. Now, I want everyone to understand one very simple thing, and that is that everybody in Washington says it's impossible to stop the spending. No matter who you talk to, they say it's impossible. But the one thing about America is that we have a history of doing the impossible. Every time we have been in trouble, every time we've needed to act, we have. We did it because we had a fire inside us that said, we're gonna make it happen. And it's that fire inside us all the time. That fire inside us that has made America the greatest country in the history of the world. And we will continue that. We will always do that. Whether you talk about Carnegie, Henry Ford, Edison, Vanderbilt, you go down the litany of things, we have said to the world, we can do it. And you know what they say? Wow. Well, we're going to do it again. And we're going to make sure this is the greatest country the world has ever known. And God bless New Hampshire, and God bless the United States of America.
You don't look anything like I imagined you.
What did you imagine?
Well, somebody much heavier than you and a bigger head.
Well, the RNC is demanding that I get 40,000 donors. Now, obviously, this is a little ridiculous because I am self-financing. Washington does not want me on that stage because I am the last person in the world they would ever want up there in Washington. After all, my goal is to cut spending, and they like their fiefdoms. Now, I'm not beholden to anyone. I don't owe anyone favors. I'm just a guy that wants to get up there and make this country what it should be and continue to be the greatest country in the world. But we need my 2-cent plan. And my 2-cent plan is going to freeze the budgets in Washington and cut 2 cents out of every discretionary dollar. But in order for me to get that 2-cent plan up there, I need to get on the stage. If you donate $1, I will send you a copy of my book, 2 Cents to Save America. And I'd really appreciate it because I sure want to be on that stage. I'm Perry Johnson, and I approve this message.
Well, we're going to win and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I can go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble.
By the way, I suggest that Biden not go off script. This is not the best move for him. Maybe it's a little more prudent to fly across the Pacific Ocean than to invest the, $1 trillion to build this railroad across the Pacific to the Indian Ocean. He's not that concerned with what's going on with our debt crisis or what's happening in Washington as we are going broke or problems at the Ukraine or China. He's more concerned about the engineering effort of building a railroad across the Pacific. Very interesting. Maybe he should have been an engineer.
A whistleblower brought to light the existence in the FBI of a report, an FD 1023, in which the informant alleges that President Biden and his family members engaged in a $5 million bribery scheme during his time as vice president. Deputy Director Abadi, is it true that the FBI has a report making those allegations?
I'm not going to comment on that, Senator. This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator. I'm not going to get further into that.
So you're stonewalling. You can't say I'm not refusing to answer your question, but I won't answer your question.
I'm going to answer within the parameters that we operate in.
Well, you have to hand it to Ted Cruz because he did go after the FBI, and they needed going after. Let's face it, when they were demanded to give evidence over to the Oversight Committee, they refused to do it. I disagree with Ted in that the FBI can be saved. I know that there are a lot of people in there that do a great job, but we have too much corruption. And I think it has to be totally revamped. I do believe that it is important that we recognize that we had to do everything to get them to admit the fact that they have stuff that they will not reveal.
Senator, we will work with this committee, you and other members, to provide the information within the parameters of the process.
Will you provide the FD 1023, yes or no?
I will take that back and we will work with our
So you're
team.
not answering that. Will you provide the 17 recordings?
We will take that back and we'll work with you.
So you're not answering that either. Did you investigate in any way, shape, or form these allegations?
Senator, once again, I'm not going to comment.
So you're not going to say whether you did your job?
Let's suppose that you were going after a company and you're buying the company out. And you ask them point blank for information, and they will not give it to you. And you ask them again, and they say, well, we have processes we go through. Bottom line is, when somebody doesn't give you the information, you have to walk away because you can't trust them. And that's what we have right here. He said nothing. And that nothing says everything. I did it on the policy of disbanding the FBI and reforming it. By doing something like that, we can then feel confidence that we have an organization that we can trust, an organization designed to actually protect the American people and to be fair and honest with the American people. And that's something we desperately do need.
Some of you know I'd usually come down and say hi to all of you. They tell me there's a storm coming in. Is that right? Is that still the deal? As that scene in the John Wayne movie, don't make me a dog-faced lion pony soldier. All right? God save the Queen, man.
I don't know. I mean, I feel bad for him. I think we're at a point where the family should step in and say, look, we gave it a great run. Let's face it, he's been in Congress for a long time. He's now president, and obviously there are issues. I mean, I feel bad for him, but I don't know that this is the person that we can have running the free world. It's a shame. And I'm pro-freedom in every possible way. I think that one of the reasons that we have the greatest country in the world is that we were founded on this foundation of freedom. Remember, we had pilgrims come over for religious freedom.
They are escaping the king.
Yeah, they were,
right.
Yes.
Feels like we have that again, doesn't it?
And now we have a situation where you have Christians actually getting persecuted. You have a government that is trying to take away our rights. The overall woke environment where you can have literally an 8, 9-year-old decide to have hormone therapy without the parents' consent that could destroy their lives. And they're making decisions at 8 and 9 years old that are irreparable. And that is egregious.
Back when I went to school, you couldn't even go on a field trip without your parents' consent. Let me ask you about your background in the automotive industry.
Tell you in a nutshell.
In American manufacturing. Talk to me about this.
Okay, here it is. And what I did was introduce statistical methods. I used that in the beginning of the operation. And I taught the line personnel how to make the moving average chart. And we used their knowledge of that operation coupled with this tool to systematically iron out the variation. Well, in about 4 or 5 years, we had the best quality in the world. And we were able to do that for 20 to 30% less money. And I said to myself, well, why not quality as a way of life? We have a standard for everything. We have a standard for this cup, for this table, for everything you have. Why not a standard for quality? And I wrote a book, ISO 9000, the quality standard. It's sold like hotcakes. In fact, now I have 3 editions and variations of that same standard, and now Perry Johnson registrars and Perry Johnson laboratory accreditation do business in 61 countries around the world. I have 80 companies. By the way, none of my companies have ever gone bankrupt. None of my companies have any debt.
It's an American businessman right
I
here,
have
to
no
say
personal
the least.
debt, right?
Zero debt?
Zero debt.
What's the federal government could learn something from you?
Well, and right now, I want to bring quality and efficiency to the federal government. Now, we are now $32 trillion in debt.
Big time.
The numbers are so large, people can't even relate to what that means.
Honored and privileged to introduce our next candidate for president, Mr. Perry Johnson.
Well, good morning. I'm Perry Johnson, and I am running for President of the United States. When I'm elected president, there will be 4 things that will be done right away. Number 1, we're going to implement my 2-cent plan. Basically, the government is spending too much money, and it's your money. and they are causing moral decay in our entire country. Right now, instead of having the government spend every penny in their budget, I say we cut 2 cents out of every dollar of discretionary spending and we start balancing the budget. Number two, never again will a minor have transition therapy. And number three, although you're not going to like this, we're getting rid of the Department of Education. And number four, we are going to finish the wall and stop this illegal immigration. One day they're going to be asking you to cut Social Security, they're going to be asking you to cut Medicaid, and they're going to tell you, hey, I think we cannot afford the defense. And the only reason on earth that we have taxes is for national defense. I want more money in your hands. I say we start cutting taxes and trimming the government. But you know, the thing about this country is that we have a history of doing the impossible. Think about it, and think about this country and how we were founded. We were founded with an ideal that we were going to have a country unlike any country in the history of the world. A country by the people, for the people. And life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness were going to be the foundation of our entire country. Now, to achieve that goal, we had to fight the most powerful army in the history of the world. We had to do it, even though we didn't know how to fight. We had no guns. They wouldn't let us have guns. We had a fledgling general by the name of George Washington. But you know what? We did the impossible. And we beat the greatest army in the history of the world. Why? Because we have that fire inside us, a fire that is unequaled. And when they look at us, we see Henry Ford, we see Vanderbilt, we see Edison, we see Carnegie, and we see the greatest nation the world has ever known. God bless everything around us, because by golly, we are the greatest country that ever lived. And let's keep it that way. Let's do it. Let's do it now, because we are going to win this next election. Let's do it.
That was awesome. Oh my God.
I'm Perry Johnson, and I approve this message. Well, the RNC is demanding that I get 40,000 donors. Now, obviously, this is a little ridiculous because I am self-financing. Washington does not want me on that stage because I am the last person in the world they would ever want up there in Washington. After all, my goal is to cut spending, and they like their fiefdoms. Now, I'm not beholden to anyone. I don't owe anyone favors. I'm just a guy that wants to get up there and make this country what it should be and continue to be the greatest country in the world. But we need my 2-cent plan. And my 2-cent plan is going to freeze the budgets in Washington and cut 2 cents out of every discretionary dollar. But in order for me to get that 2-cent plan up there, I need to get on the stage. If you donate $1, I will send you a copy of my book, 2 Cents to Save America. And I'd really appreciate it because I sure want to be on that stage. I'm Perry Johnson, and I approve this message.